while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting.
Hey guys, it's Mario here, back for another full workout video. This time we're going into a lower body workout. As you see here, I'm starting it off with a dynamic warm-up routine. Standard, with every time I step into the gym, I do some form of dynamic warm-up. This is to get my core body temperature up. This is to work on mobility. Specific areas that I'm focused on here are hips and shoulders. And in general, I'm doing this every time I step into the gym for my lower back as well. Every one of these areas that are kind of critical, I want to make sure that I'm warmed up. So aside from that, I mean, this workout is done in a fasted state. A lot of you guys have been asking me, well, how do you do these fasted workouts? What do you take before the workout? How do you structure it in general? So I want to go into that a little bit, and also a little bit in the voiceover about program design and what to look out for. So we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting. There's many forms and there's many applications. The one that is the most studied one is actually the ultimate day fasting one, not the one most people are doing. And probably you watching this video, if you heard about intermittent fasting, then it's most likely that 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window type of setup that Martin Berkham designed back in 2010. That's the type of intermittent fast that I'm doing here as well. So this workout is done after a 16-hour fast, and basically the way I do this is just simply take a scoop of whey protein before the workout and I hit the gym. So a lot of guys asking me, well, if you're doing this whey protein thing, aren't you breaking your fast? Well, look, I mean, the benefits of fasting obviously are hormesis, like autophagy, all these other little benefits, but the problem is that if you hit the gym after a very long fast, you're risking muscle protein breakdown, and that's something I want to prevent. And for me, if I look at it objectively, preventing muscle protein breakdown, preventing lean body mass breakdown, I want to make sure to mitigate that as much as possible by getting some protein. Even though I might miss out on some little benefits of fasting, I think the potential benefits of preventing muscle protein breakdown outweigh those fasting benefits by a lot. So that's a personal choice that you want to make there. And there's other supplements as well that people like to use. They like to use BCAAs. It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, BCAAs still have calories. I mean, it's still protein. So I like to go for whey. It's a more complete protein source, and I've already done a video on BCAA, whether you should take BCAAs or not. There's not a lot of evidence out there to support BCAAs if you're getting enough protein from your diet in general. And there's really not much out there in terms of nutrient timing that we should really worry about. But in this scenario, when you're doing fasted workouts, that's where the timing can play a little bit of an important role, right? So we want to make sure that we get some protein before after workout. If you want to maximize results, obviously this is not an on and off switch. A lot of guys were like thinking, well, if I just take some protein, you know, my fasting is over and bam, everything went to hell. Well, it's not like that. So it's not an on and off switch. Taking 20 to 25 grams of whey protein before the workout, even if it does interfere a little bit with the fasting effects, it's not that much, and you will get some potential benefits of preventing muscle protein breakdown. So in general, the way you structure intermittent fasting workouts is you want to choose the time of the day where you can do the workout consistently. This is the same principle we always come back to, is consistency and sustainability. So if you can do your workout first thing when you wake up in the morning, then, and if you want to do it in a fasted state, that's completely fine as well, right? So this is only for guys who are interested in maximizing results. That's something you want to put into the right perspective here. Because when I say you want to get some protein before and after workout, I don't mean this to be applicable for every single person in the world. Some people are not really interested in maximizing muscle protein synthesis, maximizing muscle growth. But if you are interested in maximizing muscle growth, there might be potential benefits of you having protein before and after the workout. And then after that protein, if you want to fast for another 6 hours, let's say you have to wake up at 6 a.m., have to do your workout, and then you don't have any food for the next 7 hours. Well, that's cool. I mean, you can still have some protein before or after and just wait it out, wait out the first big meal that is going to be in 6 hours. And that's kind of the setup that if you want to do intermittent fasting in that kind of scenario, sure. And I would consider that big meal that you do, the first meal, is kind of opening up your eating window, and then you basically have the clock running for 8 hours and see if when that window closes and you get all your meals in that period. generally, I mean, if you're looking at optimizing the process, you would want to have that post-workout, that big meal in that 8-hour eating window. But if you can't, that's still not a big deal. We're talking about very minor differences here in terms of just consistency. Again, it's coming down to daily calories and macros. And that's something really that we have to point out here, because a lot of people doing intermittent fasting, they're like, well, if I just do this intermittent fasting thing, calories don't count. You know, it's all of a sudden it's just that. And if they don't get results, they're typically, well, this intermittent fasting thing doesn't work. Intermittent fasting is a cherry on top. It's a very minor difference in terms of just having a diet structure like that versus not having structure at all. And that's the only thing that you get from intermittent fasting. There's no study out there ever showing that people burn more fat or lose more weight with the same amount of a caloric deficit if they're doing intermittent fasting or not. So there's no difference. The bonus you get from intermittent fasting is just a little bit less hunger if you're the type of person that responds that way to intermittent fasting, because the response is also different. Some people respond in a way that they're more hungry. Some people respond that they're a lot less hungry. So it really depends on what your individual response to intermittent fasting is. So you want to keep that into perspective, because there's no additional benefits in terms of fat loss, weight loss, or anything like that compared to someone who is eating the same calories with the same macros and getting the same caloric deficit. Deficit will determine the amount of weight loss. So you want to make sure to keep that in the right perspective. And if you want to do intermittent fasting like I'm doing intermittent fasting, realize that it's just a cool diet structure. It's a cool lifestyle that gives you the ability to blunt hunger if you have that response. Also makes it more enjoyable in general, because you have some kind of structure in your life where you don't have to think about when you're going to get food or not. Maybe increases your productivity as well, because you're doing things in a fasted state. Additionally, when we're talking about setting up your calories and macros, that won't be that much difference with intermittent fasting. What I do recommend is, if you're doing that post-workout meal within 8 hours, to have the majority of your carbohydrate after the workout. It's kind of the same recommendations that Martin Berkham gave back in 2010. And so in terms of protein, you want to make sure to spread that around the day in those 3-4 servings, however many meals you're doing. And that would basically be it. You know, there's no evidence whatsoever that meal frequency in that range of 3 to 6 meals per day makes any difference. So there's no benefits whatsoever in going with 3 meals or 2 meals compared to like 5 or 6, or 5 to 6 compared to 2 to 3. There's really no difference whatsoever. So you want to make sure that really keep the eye on the ball, like keep the eye on what really is important, which is the daily calories and macros. So hit that consistently and you will get your result. And now, I mean, we're talking about program design. You guys just saw me when I went through squats. I'm going into dumbbell lunges here, which I hate. The way you want to design your programs, as I said before, you want to have certain movements that you commit to. So I committed to squats and Romanian deadlifts in terms of my lower body day. And that, when I say commit, I mean I'm going to stick with these movements probably for the whole year. I'm not going to be changing these movements. Same for my upper body day, which now I switched to incline bench pressing. I'm going to be incline bench pressing for the next whole year until I get that incline bench press up. And that's a thing that you want to do as well. So when you commit to a certain movement, you commit to a mastery curve and you allow yourself to get better at that movement. That is kind of the opposite of what kind of the conventional wisdom is from fitness magazines, where they say, well, you need to mix things up, switch things up all the time. Well, if you keep switching things up, what's happening is that you're never allowing yourself to adapt properly and learn the skill where you can actually get better at it. So it's the same as if I'm giving you 1 week, learn how to drive a bicycle. Next week I give you like, oh, let's learn how to do a car. Then after that, let's do a skateboard. Then let's do a snowboard. I mean, you're constantly learning how to do the movement, and you're stuck in that learning phase, and you never get the chance to really learn the lift. So when you're talking about program design, you want to have core compound movements that you commit to, and you want to stick with those core compound movements. For the chest and for back, for example, you have 3 to 4 movements for each. For lower body days, I have my squats, I have my Romanian deadlifts, I have lunges in there, which I hate, and I have the regular deadlift as well. So these would be my movements, and I also have the hip thrust, which would be the 5th movement. Every time I do the lower body day, they're gonna be spiced up with some isolation work afterwards. But with these movements, I'm focused on changing the repetition ranges, adding more weight over time, and really hammering on that progressive tension overload component where I'm getting stronger with these lifts. And I'm also getting better at them simply through better technique, because I get so much practice with a lift that I'm improving the lift all the time. So generally the way you want to design a program is you want to look at your training age. If you're a beginner, I mean, you can easily just do whatever the hell you want in the gym as long as you add weight to the bar is fine. As an intermediate lifter, you want to make sure that you're now looking at how you can overcome your plateaus. So you want to be changing your repetition ranges throughout the week. Maybe let's say you can do a certain weight for a certain amount of reps. You want to try to do that weight for more reps until you add more weight. So until you can add more weight, you want to do that lower rep and try to get that same weight for the higher repetitions, and then eventually you can lower the reps again and add more weight. So that's kind of a very simple progression for advanced athletes. I mean, that's where at a point where you want to go through different volume phases, where it's like a phase of let's say 4 to 8 weeks where you focus on higher volume work, a lot of sets, a lot of reps in that repetition range of let's say 4 to 6 for your strength days, for your hypertrophy maybe between 8 and 12, and then some work in that 15 plus range. And then if you do that for 8 weeks, you slowly just lower the amount of reps you're doing and you intensify. And at a certain point, you're gonna be doing a lot heavier for a lot less reps, and then you're gonna switch to an intensity phase. In an intensity phase, you would be, let's say, doing your strength work between 2 and 4 reps and your hypertrophy work between 6 and 8, with some work above 12, which is rare, right? So you alternate these phases of volume and intensity in different types of blocks depending on what your goals are. If you're a powerlifter, maybe your intensity phase is a lot longer than your volume phase. If you're a bodybuilder, your volume phase will be a lot longer. And you alternate these phases, and you want to add a peaking phase where you peak in strength, where you just do testing with 1 rep maxes. If you're a powerlifter, if you're a bodybuilder, you don't need to even do this. You can simply alternate volume and intensity non-stop. So it's kind of like reps going down, 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 then they go up, 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 and they're always changing. So throughout the year as an advanced athlete, you're basically exchanging different types of blocks. You can do mesocycles, that are blocks of 1 month. You can do macro cycles. Look at it like a 6-month block where you do, let's say, 4 months, and you spend those 4 months in the phase of volume and 2 months in intensity. Then you go back into volume and then do intensity. And throughout all this time, your job is to manage your fatigue while you're going through these repetition ranges and while you're going through these phases. So the way you manage your fatigue is with proper deloads. You also might want to incorporate a certain period of time where you're taking a break from the gym, where it's just like 2 weeks where you're just doing sets in half and weights for about 10% less, just to give yourself some rest. Basically, what it really comes down to as an advanced athlete is managing your fatigue levels, which are masking your progress, because you're still making a little bit of progress, but the problem is the fatigue is so high as you're lifting so much heavy weight that you have to manage the fatigue. And that's a huge issue for advanced athletes if you don't manage your fatigue. And that's why most people are stuck between that intermediate advanced, because they never manage their fatigue. They're always like full on, like pedal to the ground, or like pedal to the metal, right? They just full on, non-stop, hardcore, never give themselves a break. And that's why they don't progress, because they're constantly hammering the body with heavy weights, not giving it enough rest. So you want to make sure to alternate, as I said, volume intensity phases and incorporate regular deloads. And which repetition ranges you choose, that depends on you. I like to alternate between 4 and 6, and then do the 8 to 12 on my volume blocks, and then kind of even go, let's say, 7 to 11, and kind of alternate that and go to 6 to 10, and then just really lower that and intensify it over time. And then in my intensity phase, I'm locked in somewhere between 2 to 4 reps, and then 6 to 8 in terms of the hypertrophy work, right? So that's kind of how I organize my training plans, and I make sure to have deloads every 4th week. This is not the only way to organize this. Obviously, there's many periodization models out there. Pick one that you can progress with. As I said, progressive tension overload is the key component. If you're getting stronger, that is what you should be doing. Whatever the hell is making you stronger, keep doing that. And that is the main component that you're really trying to hammer on is progressive tension overload, getting stronger over time. Whatever it takes, get stronger, you will see better results. And that's all we're ultimately doing here. That's the function of periodization, is really relieving us of that fatigue so we can get more weight on the bar, use heavier dumbbells, and do all these good things. So that's a little bit about program design here, about intermittent fasting. Here you see me doing some calf extensions at the end of the workout. I'm doing these in a fashion where I pick a certain amount of time and I do as many reps as I can. So that's what the AMRAP stands for. So that means as many reps as possible for 45 seconds. I did that for a minute and a half beforehand. This is just to finish up the workout with a little bit of a calf pump. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching me do a little bit of training here for my lower body. Here's a leg pump, what it looks like. Aside from that, let me know if you have any questions in the comments below as usual, and make sure to hit that subscribe button below to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.